In mid-March of 2022, I was the guest of honor for a furry convention in Dallas, Texas, known as Texas Furry Fiesta. And it was an incredible experience, so let's talk about it. Probably the best furry convention experience I have had in my life. Yeah, it's a bit weighted in that sense, because being a guest of honor versus normally attending it, yeah, it's kind of gonna be up there compared to regularly attending it, so can you really blame me though? It was great, it was wonderful. I still feel like I don't deserve it because I just make YouTube videos. That's it. And it led to that. I'm honored, but I don't know what I did wrong, or right in this case. Now you may be wondering, Beta, this happened 2 years ago. Why are you talking about it now? I kind of just realized when it comes to moments like that, it kind of has to be a bit more timed. And luckily, TFF is on the horizon for me in like a month or so. I'm recording this like a month beforehand. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna be going to this con. I'm feeling a bit nostalgic for it. Why don't I just revisit some of the experiences that I had in the last year I went? Oh wait, I was the guest of honor for this con like 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, I should probably talk about this. I remember I did a video recapping it and then some video where I was in an inflatable ball suit at a party at the con, but I never really did a proper discussion about the experiences as a guest of honor. And that's when I also realized I don't think I've seen many, if at all, any videos where people have talked about their experiences as a guest of honor for a furry convention. And so maybe this video will shine some light on it. I know every con is very different with how they handle guest of honors for cons, but needless to say, my experience as one was incredible. The con staff was so wonderful and helpful. Everyone who was helping me out directly get to and from where I needed to go and helped accommodate me with that weekend, it was incredible. I'm still so blown away by how nice and accommodating everyone was. I know I used accommodating twice in the same sentence, but here we are. Oh well. But today I want to talk about pretty much everything about my guest of honor experience for TFF. Like the build up before the con, what I ended up having to do with that, what it actually meant to be a guest of honor, along with what I ended up having to do during the con. Which, let me tell you, it was fun all in all. Even though it was, I was showing up to do stuff for the con, like host panels, help with charity stuff, go to like the guest of honor dinner. It was still a wonderful time. It did not feel like I had to go and do anything. So I just want to preface this by saying that everything that I'm talking about here is stuff that I really enjoyed doing. But either way, this is my guest of honor experience for a furry convention. And here's how it went. So to start this long and event-filled story, we got to go all the way back to early 2020. Pretty much just the turn of the decade. I was chilling, doing my thing, when eventually I got a message from one of my friends who told me I needed to hop on a call with them and record my reaction. Now this is a very interesting thing to have asked of me, just in general, so I thought, why not? I'll do it. But little did I forget that my friend was, at the time, the liaison for Texas Furry Fiesta, one of the cons that I would be attending later that year. So like a few months before the call, I had already planned to go to this con. But pretty much on that call, I was sent an email giving me the offer to be a guest of honor for Texas Furry Fiesta 2021. And let me tell you, I had a rush of emotions in that moment.
I just sent you an email.
Did you?
Yes. Check your email.
Well, I hate looking at myself from years back. Now, to be honest, I had no clue this was happening. I had just gotten the email and I was blown away. Like, my first thought was, I do not deserve this. Why am I in this position to be a guest of honor? I really don't do much. I just make videos on the internet. I never really held what I did in high regard. I mean, yeah, I love what I do, but I never really took it as like I'm doing something valuable. I'm just a YouTuber. That's it. And after the email, I was told that I had to keep things on the down low, couldn't really announce that I was the guest of honor until after the closing ceremonies of TFF that year. Pretty much mid to late March when it happened. I can't remember. Look, it's still a big emotional moment for me, and it's also one of my biggest achievements in life. I worked for 4 years to get an engineering degree, and I felt more proud and accomplished and honored to get to be a guest of honor for an amazing con.
We would want to bring in like a YouTube creator. So I'd like to welcome BetaEtaDelota as our final guest.
So after the email and closing ceremony event, fast forward to right before 2022, give or take December or so. This is when I would have to figure out what I would be doing at the con. Now, I knew there would be some requirements for hosting certain panels, attending some certain events, like the guest of honor dinner, like, yeah, go figure, I'd have to go to that, and a couple of other things, like opening ceremonies, exist around the con, have fun. That was one of the things I said, have fun this con. But at the same time, going into the guest of honor position, I wanted to host some really, really good panels, like put some really good thought into what I was doing. I wanted to attend events. I wanted to be as social and out there as possible, because at the end of the day, like, I'm going there to help support the con. Now, please don't take what I'm saying the wrong way, but the guest of honor position is supposed to bring in people who enjoy that specific person who is a guest of honor. Like, they choose guests of honor to bring in not only to show support for the furry community, to standout members, whether they're artists, fursuit makers, content creators, very notable people within the furry community, but to also help promote the con in some way. Now, it's not to say that this has any bad purposes, that's just how it is. Luckily, I ended up doing, in my opinion, a pretty good job at hosting some of those panels. So pretty much for the requirements that I had to do for this con, I had to host 3 panels, one of which would be a getting to know the guest of honor, a panel about me, kind of do a meet and greet Q&A style panel. And in terms of the panel topics, they were all up to me, but they had to be related to what I did, which obviously I was going to do panels about YouTube and content creation, so thought I'd do that. Having this opportunity, I was more than thrilled to be able to take it, because honestly, I wanted to help this con. Not that they need help, but just I wanted to help promote it and help be there and do events and panels for them. And let me just say, I did not have a single bad experience with being a GOH for this con. Like, from the panels that I attended, to the guest of honor dinner, to the people that I was meeting after every single event that I was at, it was genuinely a wonderful experience. I was honored to be there. It was pretty much like every con that I had been to, having a wonderful time, getting to hang out with friends, and having all this stuff on top of it that I was able to do. It was just perfect. That's all I can really say for it. So again, big thank you to Texas Furry Fiesta, the con staff, the con chair, the liaison. Thank you so much again for this opportunity, even though it's been years now. And thank you for making it genuinely one of the best furry convention experiences I've had ever. I hope I was able to help in return for this honor. Now, on top of hosting those 3 panels, the other few things that I had to do was I had to attend opening ceremonies. I had to talk on stage for a bit with a little bit of an interview / Q&A, asking me questions that I could answer, introducing myself a little bit as the guest of honor, what I would be doing at the con, where people could find me, which I will say that was the first and only opening ceremonies I have ever attended at a furry convention. Now, the interview was pretty straightforward. It was just a rundown of who I was, what I was doing at the con, what I do in the furry fandom, what panels I would be hosting, where they would be able to find me around the con during the weekend. It was really nice, really wholesome. I didn't have any stage fright because my eyes were being blinded by the lights, so I couldn't see the audience in front of me, and it was more just a conversation with the con chair at the time. So for the first and only time I've been to an opening ceremonies, that went stellar. But after opening ceremonies, I just went about doing my usual thing, got registered for the con, got my badge for the con, met up with friends, got food, hung out, fursuited, pretty much everything that I did in between events that I had to do at the con. It was just my usual routine. I don't actually remember the exact names of the panels that I hosted. I just know that they entailed getting to know the guest of honor, introduction to YouTube, like how to get started with YouTube, the actual motivational factor behind getting started, which is what really everyone needs. They need that push to get started with some new hobby or thing they want to try. Sometimes you just got to do it, but sometimes you need the right motivational mindset, and that's what I wanted to help with in that panel. And I'd like to say that was probably the best YouTube panel I've hosted so far. I put so much thought into it. I got a whole PowerPoint presentation going. People seem to love it, which, let me just say, the liaison was there with me for pretty much every panel to help make things go as smoothly as possible. Like, when people were actually literally lining up to get pictures and meet me, it was hard to manage the line while also saying hi to everyone that was coming up. So the liaison at the time helped organize the line and was like, don't worry, just focus on you. I will handle the rest. And they were so helpful with it. If they weren't there, things would have gone so much more awry. So thank you. Thank you. I think it was Misu Otter. Misu. They're a pink and blue otter. They're absolutely wonderful. Just thank you so much for the help. But yeah, pretty much every panel ended up turning into a 2-hour-ish long panel, where the first hour would just be the presentation presentation or actual panel that I was hosting. And then the hour after that, after I had vacated the panel room, would be like a meet and greet, say hi, get a picture. And it was really, really endearing and really nice. And I'm still, oh my God, I'm still emotional about it too. And also, along with the panel thing, shout out to my friend Duded for wearing my fursuit for me while I was at these panels, because I was not giving these presentations in fursuit by any means, let alone with a 5-pound fursuit head on my body. But Duded just went out of their way to go above and beyond as a Maverick impersonator, and I could not be any more thankful for that. And that even went outside of the panels. They were pretty much suiting for me the entire con, and I could not be any more thankful for them doing that. Let me just say, you were the best Maverick impersonator out there. People were really confused. They thought, oh, Beta's here, but he's also here in fursuit. It was also really funny to see a shorter Maverick. Now, as for what I got in return for being a guest of honor, it was pretty much what you would expect. My room and travel expenses for the con were pretty much fully comped. I could bring a +1 with me, so I brought one of my best friends to join me, which was, I'll be honest, a bit of a gamble at the time, because I had to figure out who I was bringing like a year and a half before the con, because my friend group shifted around so significantly throughout that time. So made a safe bet on one of my best friends, who is still my best friend to this day, and I appreciate and love them to death, and I'm glad they joined me for TFF. And then one of the other things they got for me was a goodie basket of whatever my favorite drinks or snacks were of my choice. Now, honestly, I'm not really a snack sort of person, so I just kind of asked for Red Bull for the drink, and like, if they could get me some booze because I wanted to host maybe like a room party or something. I didn't really need the goodie basket, but I wasn't going to turn it down if it meant that I could have some caffeine for the con, because you know how furry conventions are. I need the energy in the morning and afternoon with Red Bull, and then I need I don't need, that's a strong word for describing alcohol. And when they were putting together the goodie basket, this is when I realized how much they tried to accommodate me for this con. And this is why I felt bad, but also honored and so thankful. And that's why I put in 110% of my effort into everything I was doing for this con. The liaison messaged me while I was at the con. I knew they were at the con. They went out of their way to go to the supermarket to get this stuff for me and bring it to my room. They are doing so much for me here at this con. I want to pay it back with putting out the best that I can for this con. I revised the fuck out of my presentation for the panels I was doing that weekend. And you know what? It was pretty great. I'm not even that good at presenting, and I think I absolutely nailed it this time around. So the first thing that I was really happy about with these panels is that they weren't at the ass crack of dawn. For a few times in previous years when I have hosted panels for conventions, I've had to do some at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning on like a Saturday. But with TFF and the panels that I hosted, they weren't at absurdly early times in the morning. I think most of my panels were at like early noon or late noon, so I had some time in between to chill. And also everything was scheduled in a way where nothing really overlapped, where I felt like I had to jump from one event to another. I could just enjoy the day and do whatever else once the panel was done. Minus like 1 or 2 moments, I think. It still felt like things were so spread out where I had time to actually relax. Like if I was feeling really tired after a panel, I could have very well fit a nap in somewhere. And the good thing about these events being spaced out the way they were is because it allowed me to prep beforehand before the next panel was about to happen. So I could just have time to review my PowerPoint or practice my presentation, just so I could make sure the panels were going to go as smoothly and wonderfully as possible. Also, speaking of timing with these panels, shout out to the guy who went to every one of my panels and like a few seconds before I started presenting each and every one, they would run up to the stage, hand me a Red Bull saying, "Love your videos, Beta, here you go," and then run off. You are a lifesaver. I don't know who my unnamed anonymous hero was who was delivering Red Bulls right before I started my panels at cons, but thank you. God, y'all are so nice to me. I don't deserve this, but thank you. So as for the meet and greet or getting to know BetaEtaDelota panel, I thought it was supposed to just be a meet and greet in a big room, but it ended up being a panel-style panel event.
So I ended up turning it into an impromptu Q&A.
Where people just ask me questions and I answer them with regards to what I do on YouTube, what I do outside of YouTube. And honestly, I was kind of blown away by some of the intricate questions people were asking. Like some of them were meme questions, which were really funny, but some of them were like in-depth questions with regards to YouTube. And a majority of them were actually asking about my degree, like my background in mechanical engineering. Not that I have any experience outside of college, but some folks were asking a lot of really good questions about like getting started in engineering college or like what they might want to pursue for an engineering degree. Which, let me remind you, I have no work experience. Couldn't really help there. But honestly, it was super wholesome to hear that people were asking questions outside of what I do and more along the lines of some small aspect about me. So thank you for everyone who made that panel as wonderful as it was. I'd say it went pretty well. I loved it. I should do panels again for cons. Now for the next panel I did, the Introduction to YouTube panel. Honestly, it was probably the best presentation I have had so far for any sort of panel. It was so well received. I think people were more motivated than ever to start doing YouTube. And that's really what it was supposed to be, a motivational factor to starting YouTube. Giving some pointers on like how to get started, get the mindset behind doing it. If you really want to do it, getting started with it. Oh yeah, I remember the rainbow chicken nuggets. I don't know the context of that. I think there was some window that had a weird lighting effect where light that went through it. So I guess they were gay chicken nuggets. I don't know what that picture is from, but I was wearing Nick Cage Crocs at the time. I forgot I had those. I still have them. That's impressive. I look dazed and confused in that photo, but so does Nicolas Cage on my Crocs. So, oh, and of course you had to tuck Nicolas Cage Croc into bed. Got to make sure they're nice and cozy. And oh yeah, there was the bell pepper out of our window. I forgot about that. So yeah, as soon as you walk into the room, we ended up getting a suite for our room. I didn't request it, but they gave it to me, so thank you. But you walk into the room, you have like the main area where like everything's chill, and then you turn the corner into the bedroom, and then you see out the window, there's this huge billboard of a bell pepper shot in macro on an iPhone 13 Pro. Every morning, I would wake up, I'd throw open the shades and go, "Hello, bell pepper." What an amazing view from my room, let me just say. And also, I think we were in like the north third tower, so we were outside of the set of towers where like there was a huge line to get to the elevators. I'll take that. I was pretty happy with that. That's what I mean when I say that this con was perfect. I do mean it. Every aspect to this convention was perfect. I ended up having like 20 friends join me on this food excursion to go and get Texas barbecue. I think it was in Deep Ellum. That's what it was called. Deep Ellum, where there was like a strip of like bars, restaurants, and it was really yummy. The vibes were pretty great on a Sunday night. It seemed like a pretty big success. I'm not good at managing 20 plus people at any given time, especially all of my friends who I all wanted to have a wonderful time, but it seems like they did. I was really happy with it. My friends were happy with it. Lots of really, really good food. That mac and cheese was stellar. The brisket, so juicy. The jalapenos, the sausage, oh, so good. I loved everything there. Good food surrounded by all your friends. Like, what more could you want? Also, shout out to my friends Nova and Kyle for making their badge names Beta Stan #1 and Beta Stan #2. It was really funny, in all honesty. Oh, damn. They ended up giving me a whole bottle of Bacardi. Oh! Okay, so the timeline or schedule of events that I had to partake in during TFF. On Thursday, it was opening ceremonies. Pretty straightforward. Didn't have anything else after that. Friday was the BetaEtaDelota meet and greet panel. Saturday was the introduction to YouTube panel and the guest of honor dinner. And then Sunday was my Not Your Average YouTube panel. The only time that I had to do multiple things in one day, Friday, where there was the guest of honor dinner, the same day I did my introduction to YouTube panel, which luckily there was enough time in between for me to be able to relax and decompress before going into the next event, so I'm very grateful for that. Now, as for the guest of honor dinner, it was spectacular. The food was phenomenal. I did not expect this going into a guest of honor. I think it was a sponsor or super sponsor dinner. For reference, you had multiple options for the food you could have. They had salmon with bok choy, which was incredible. Then you had fried chicken with hot honey and creamed corn, which was also amazing. Everything was just so good. I was not expecting the food to be as great as it was, but oh my god, it was amazing. And also, I got to say hi to people. You know, there was a little bit of an introduction that went around for the other guests of honors there, where you could see out the window the whole skyline of the surrounding city area, and it was breathtaking. So not only were you getting a delicious meal with all you can eat, I think it was gelato or ice cream, but you had a whole view of the beautiful city from above with the sunset going. It was just entirely awesome. Like, let the pictures and videos speak for themselves, even though I'm horrible at filming videos, so. But overall, it was a really nice and chill meal. Like, it really was just as fun as I could have possibly imagined. I loved it so much. And as for the final panel that I did, Not Your Average YouTube panel at Sunday in the afternoon, pretty much the panel was just the nitty-gritty about YouTube, about my experiences with being a content creator for years, about a decade at that point, and just some tips or advice that people wanted to hear. It all came down to just the questions that people asked me post-presentation that were honestly really intuitive, and I was glad that I was able to answer them as well as I could. It was also a bit of a hazy event because it was the Sunday at a con in which I was also socially burnt out and really tired from the nights prior of partying, hanging out with friends. Not like a bad tired, like I wanted to go home, I didn't want to do the panel. Of course I wanted to do the panel. And it went super well. I was still going, it was still fun, but I was tired. Now there was one little thing that I could have done, but it was more of an optional thing in the end where they had asked me if I could attend closing ceremonies. However, I had planned a get-together outing event to go and get Texas barbecue with a ton of friends as the last big hurrah before the con ended. And by the time they had asked me if I could go to closing ceremonies, I had already called the Ubers, so I had to decline and say no. And I felt really bad about it, but they were understanding and it was chill and okay, so I was happy. Oh, and then Saturday I was put in an inflatable ball suit at a room party, which there's a video out for that already. So yeah, don't really need to explain that here. The adventures and shenanigans that we went on and partook in was pretty much everything I could have wanted. Like, example, when we took the stairs to go downstairs from our room, we ended up entering the back rooms. I don't know how that happened. And then the bell pepper. We love the bell pepper. But the con was overall just a wonderful experience. Like, I would have had a good time outside of guest of honor stuff, but I think that genuinely elevated my experience. I don't think there was time wasted that con at all, because all the time in between me doing what I usually did with my routine, it was being filled with doing events for the con. Like put it into perspective, I haven't been to an opening ceremonies before. I hadn't done that many panels or that many con events. So realistically, that opportunity allowed me to fill in the time where I wouldn't really be doing much with doing events for the con or partaking in the con itself. So that's why I'm so extremely grateful and thankful for that opportunity, because it allowed such a fulfilling experience with the con. But that is pretty much my full experience with being one of the guest of honors for Texas Furry Fiesta 2022. And on that note, thank you all for watching. Oh, and I forgot to mention as well, I ended up getting a spot in the dealer's den, like a table spot for a booth for merch or whatnot. So I ended up giving that to my merch provider, Corgi Beans or Build-A-Fur, for them to sell their stuff there. So forgot to mention that. Don't know how important that is, but that ended up happening. But honestly, I had a wonderful time this con, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget it. It was one of the highlight experiences of my life so far, I will say that. And being in that position as a guest of honor, again, it brings about so many emotions, especially about what I do. Like, I'm just a YouTuber. I make videos on the internet. That's it. I never saw what I do as a very important or big thing. But the fact that it led to this, like, has made me reconsider just how much what I do means to people. There are YouTube videos that have made a tremendous difference in people's lives. I get it every day where people say, I'm a furry because of you. I'm happier because of you and your videos. It really is flattering to hear that. I just want to say thank you for enjoying what I do. It really does mean a lot. So thank you. And also thank you for watching this. I'm glad that you enjoyed whatever it is that I put out here. The guest of honor experience was unforgettable. It was life-changing for me. It made me grow an entirely different perspective about what I do, about how cons work, and how much effort the con staff and con chair and members of TFF put into what they're doing. I just want to give a shout out again and a big thank you to the TFF staff for making all that happen. Never underappreciate con staff. That's all I'm going to say. They put in so much work into making things happen. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the other ones that I have. I'm trying to do more of this style. I'll probably leave some links in the description for the other videos associated with TFF, like my con recap video, the inflatable ball suit video. I think I did that. And also, as another thing, I'll be at TFF this year. I don't really announce my cons anymore, but this is the one I will because I really love TFF. I had a wonderful time last time, and I'm sure I'm gonna have a good time this time. Regardless, thank you guys for everything. It means a lot. I hope you enjoy what I have to offer in the future, and I'm gonna get going for now. Thank you all for everything. Have a wonderful night, and take care as always, guys. See ya.